Three women die together in an accident and go to heaven. When they get there, St. Peter says, "We only have one rule here. In heaven, do not step on the ducks." So they enter heaven, and sure enough, there are ducks all over the place. And although they try their best to avoid them, the first woman accidentally steps on one. Along comes St. Peter with the ugliest man she's ever seen before. St. Peter chains them together and says, "Your punishment for stepping on the duck is to spend eternity chained to this ugly man." The next day, the second woman accidentally steps on a duck, and along comes St. Peter. With him is another extremely ugly man. He chains them together with the same way as the first woman. The third woman has observed all of this, so she is very careful where she steps and manages to go months without stepping on any ducks. But one day, St. Peter comes up to her with the most handsome man she has ever laid her eyes on. St. Peter chains them together without saying a word. The happy woman says, "I wonder what I did to deserve being chained to you for all of eternity." Guy says, "I don't know about you, but I stepped on a duck." There's a sign on a restaurant window that says, "If you order it and we don't have it, you instantly win $1 million. A man walking by notices the sign and walks in the restaurant and sits down at the table with a smirk on his face. The waiter asks what he will be having, and the man says, "I will have a white rhinoceros stew, please." The waiter comes out with a boiling hot bowl of exactly what the man ordered. The man is taken by surprise, but eats the stew and pays for his very expensive meal. He leaves angrily. The next day, he comes back and sits at the table with a smirk on his face again. He tells the waiter, "Today I will have a bullet ants stuffed with dolphin meat." The waiter leaves and quickly comes back after a few minutes with exactly what the man ordered. The man, surprised again, eats the meal, angrily pays, and leaves the next day. He comes back and sits at the table and tells the waiter, "I will have a mermaid breast sandwich." A few minutes go by and the waiter comes out holding two massive duffel bags with the $1 million. The man, overcome with the excitement, says, "I knew you wouldn't have mermaid breast." The waiter tells him politely, "We actually do, sir. We just ran out of bread." A woman was mad at her husband because he was late coming home again. She decided to leave a note saying, "I've had enough and I'm leaving your don't bother coming after me." Then she hid under the bed to see his reaction. After a short while, the husband comes home and she could hear him in the kitchen before he comes into the bedroom. She could see him walk towards the dresser and pick up the note. After a few minutes, he wrote something on it before picking up the phone and calling someone. "She's finally gone, yeah. I know, about time. Get ready, I'm coming. To see you put on that cute dress I like. I love you so much. I can't wait to see you. We'll do all those fun things you were talking about wanting to do the other night." He hung up, grabbed his keys, and left. She heard the car drive off. She came out from under the bed filled with rage and with tears in her eyes. She grabbed the note to see what he wrote. It said, "I can see your feet. We're out of bread. I'll be back in 10 minutes. A man walks into the bar. The bartender asks, "Why the long face?" The man replies, "I just found out my wife is sleeping with another man. I've decided I'm going to drink myself to death." The bartender looks shocked and says, "I'm sorry, I can't help you kill yourself." The man asks, "Well, what would you do in my situation?" The bartender puffs himself up a bit and says, "If I found a guy was sleeping with my wife, I wouldn't sit around feeling sorry for myself. I'd kill the guy." The man jumps up from his stool and shouts, "That's a great idea, thanks," and runs out of the bar. A couple hours goes by and the bartender is starting to get nervous when the man walks back into the bar with a smile on his face. "Did you kill the guy?" the bartender asked nervously. "Nope, I slept with your wife." A soldier ran up to a nun, out of breath. "Yes, please, may I hide under your skirt? I'll explain later." The nun agreed. A moment later, two military police ran up and asked the sister, "Have you seen a soldier?" The nun replied he went that way. After, the MPS ran off and a soldier crawled out from under her skirt and said, "I can't thank you enough, sister. You see, I don't want to go to Iraq." The nun said, "I completely understand." The soldier added, "I hope I'm not rude, but you have a great pair of legs." The nun replied, "If you had looked a little higher, you would have seen a great pair of balls. I don't want to go to Iraq either."